Yo, what is good, boys? In today's video, we got the top 10 current UFC unks. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, we've got numbers 1 through 10 laid out. We're going to start at number 10 and work our way all the way up to that number 1 spot where you can see there's a little crown. Okay, there's a little crown above that number 1 spot. That's going to be the current king of the unks, okay, in my opinion. We're just going to kind of talk about their last 3 or so fights, probably, and why I think they still got it in them. Okay, why I think these older fellas are still got a little bit of juice in them, you could say. Okay, but before we go ahead and get into that, go ahead, like the video if you're watching it. Hit the subscribe button. Comment down in the comment section who you think should belong in the top 10 list. Maybe that I didn't include, or if you agree with some of my top 10 placements for the unks. But with all that all being said, let's get into our number 10 spot without wasting any more time. Okay, coming in at the number 10 spot, we got the one and only Derek Lewis. Okay, my man Trump called me, told me to not to rush motherfucker out, talking bad about him on the news and shit. You know him and Putin and shit. Big Derek Lewis. Okay, one of my favorite fighters. One of the more advanced blobs of the heavyweight division. You could call him a jiggler. One of the more advanced jigglers of that UFC heavyweight division. He's coming off a loss right now, okay, against Waldo Cortez Acosta. But before that, two big knockouts. One in the third round against Rodrigo, and then the other one beating a 9-0. I think Talison Teixeira was at the time, beating a 9-0 UFC heavyweight prospect, one of the more promising prospects. Okay, don't lie. People were hopping on fucking Talison Teixeira like it was goddamn a fucking somebody from Alabama to their cousin. Okay, okay, they were jumping on Talison Teixeira. I think Derek Lewis came in at like a plus 250 or a plus 300 underdog for that fight. Went out there, gets it done in 35 seconds. Okay, it is forcing Talison Teixeira to fucking start rock climbing the side of the UFC octagon. All right, he's got a fight coming up here. In how much more time do we got? We got one, two. We got 3 more weeks. Okay, 3 more weeks, and Big Derek Lewis is back in the mix. Okay, I'm not as worried for Derek Lewis as people are making it out to be. Okay, a lot of people are saying, Josh Hokett by anything he wants. Okay, type of shit. Um, Josh Hokett, I love his fighting style. I'm a big fan of Josh Hokett as well. Okay, don't get me wrong. But you cannot go out there and to do what he did against Curtis Blades. Openly like letting himself get hit against Derek Lewis. Okay, Big D Lou still packs a punch. Okay. So I'm a little bit worried for Josh Hokett in that aspect. If he can't, kind of pace himself, be a little bit more patient, keep that defensive work up, I think we could see a fucking 2026 Derek Lewis KO. Call me crazy if you want. But the truth is, like I said, if Derek Lewis gets a hold of that chin, okay, like Curtis Blades was able to, it's lights out for Josh Hokett. All right, I don't really care who wins. Both are good, okay, because you have Derek Lewis. You're going to get a beautiful post-fight speech. My trunk called me, told me to knock this American motherfucker out because he looked Mexican and shit. USA and this whole man. And then if Josh Hokett wins, then you get a fucking beautiful poetry at the end of the fight, okay? So, very good matchup there. As you can tell, I'm excited for that one. On to the number 9 spot. We got another one of my favorites, okay? We've got Big Show Me the Money Moicano, okay? This is a bit tricky, okay? I was thinking about putting Derek Lewis at the number 9, and then putting Renato Moicano at the number 9, but they're both coming off some pretty decent wins, okay? Derek Lewis, he has the Talison Teixeira, one obviously before the Waldo Cortez Acosta, and Moicano, he's coming off a fucking an absolutely beautiful performance against Chris Duncan. Okay, I think he was a slight underdog in that fight. I did pick him to win, by the way. Okay, but that was my first ever prediction video on the old YouTube. And I think I picked it. I think I picked the exact round as well. Okay, I know ball, bro. If you're not tapped in the channel, go in and tap into the channel. All right. But anyways, he's coming off a big win against Chris Duncan. Before that, he did lose to Beneil Dariush, okay, which is aging worse and fucking worse every single day. That Beneil Dariush fights. But before that, loses to Islam Makhachev on a fucking day's notice, okay? And then what do we got before that? He's coming off a win against Benoit Saint Denis, okay? That's a good ass win. That win is aging well as fuck. And the loss to Islam Makhachev, obviously that's not aging bad on Moicano's part at all, in my opinion. The Beneil Dariush, okay, that's a little bit of a different story. He's coming off a win against against Jalen Turner. I almost forgot there for a second. He's coming off a win against Drew Dober. Okay, he's fucking up there. Moicano's still getting it done. Besides the Makhachev loss in the Dariush loss, I think fucking Moicano can get himself back into the top 5 or the top 6 maybe. Maybe top 6 or 7. Not even trying to make a 6-7 joke, bro. I'm being for real. If you wanted, I think he's ranked number 10 right now. I feel like if you really tried, okay, Unk can still get her done. One of my favorite Unks right there. But on to the next. Who do we got? Where's my mouse? Here we go. We got King Green posted up at the number 8 spot. Also another Unk that is performing good as shit. He's coming off a win against hold on, trying to pull up my top 3 or the last 3 against Gibson Jr. Okay, Daniel Zellhuber, who was a sort of promising prospect in the lightweight division, and then he's coming off a fucking win against the hardest hitting 145er. Okay, Jeremy Stevens. Okay, he's coming off a slick submission win. When was that? Maybe like 1 or 2 weeks ago. Got that one done by submission in the first round. Okay, against one of the hardest hitting 145ers, man. People forget, man. Jeremy Stevens, crafty vet. But he's on a 3-fight winning streak. He's lost recently. Besides that, in 2024 and 2025 against Pimlet and Mauricio Hufi, which they're not the worst losses. Okay, he's not losing to cans. All right, he's not losing to fucking guys that you've never heard of before. He's losing to Mauricio Hufi, who, even though he did just lose to BSD in his the fight before his last, just got a big win over Rafael Fiziev. Okay, knocked out Rafael Fiziev, and then you got Pimlet. Obviously, he's coming off a loss against Justin Gaethje, but one of the more better, not elite, okay, or not the elite of the elite. As far as the opponents that Bobby Green's facing, but still elite level people, okay? And then he's coming off a win against before that he's coming off a win against Jim Miller, which we just saw Jim Miller years later, like 2 years later. When did he fight Jim Miller? 2024. Okay, we just saw Jim Miller in 2026 get a finish, all right? So he beat a still intact Jim Miller. All right, and then he's on that 3-fight that 3-fight winning streak as well. I would say Bobby Green, I would say he's one of the fighters on this list that could be bumped up even further, okay, as far as the Unks go. But with that being said, let's get into the number 7 here, which we got one of my favorite current fighters, period, okay? Not even one of my favorite current Unks, per se. Just one of my overall favorite current fighters. We got the minority killer, Drew Dober, okay? Absolutely fucking love Drew Dober. He's got a little bit of competition as far as the minority tier list goes, the minority killer tier list. You got Quillen Salcott up there as well. You got Sean Strickland up there as well. But for right now, I should have put a minority killer crown on here as well, because Drew Dober is the current minority killer king. Okay, coming off a big win against Michael Johnson. Second round KO, absolute cinema. Coming off a third round, right? I think third round KO against Prepelec, and then he lost to Torres before that. But overall, he's still getting knockouts. Fought Gene Silva. Okay, he's in there with some of the best. Went against Moicano. Okay, which makes me think I should have put Moicano higher. I feel like I definitely should have put Moicano higher, but it's fine. Okay, we're gonna rock with what we got right now. But my point is, Drew Dober, he's still got that juice in the hands, okay? He's looking absolutely phenomenal. The physique looks great, looking like a fucking stud out there, even though I think he's coming up on like 38, 39, 40 maybe, somewhere around there. Still getting it done. Still's got the power in the hands. Sort of a similar situation to Derek Lewis. Just a little bit more inconsistent with the wins, I would say. But he's definitely still got it. Okay, I don't think he should retire soon. Um, Maybe within the next like 2 years he should retire. But you know, I say keep going, bro. Keep killing the minority. Okay, Big Drew Dober. On to number 6 though. Direct your eyes to that bottom left hand. Okay, of the screen. We're going from the left up now. Um, Coming in at number 6, we got somebody sort of similar. Okay, to Drew Dober, Big Drew Dober. We've got Michael Chandler. Okay, a little bit of a tricky one for me to explain here. Okay, I'm gonna have to hold my shield here with this Michael Chandler pick, but especially at number 6, he should have definitely been lower. But I have a reason why I put him so high on the top 10 unk list. Okay, he's making competitive fights. What is this on my screen? Get that off here. He's making competitive fights with some of the best people in, some would say, the most stacked division. Okay, the lightweight division. A lot of people won't consider it. Some of the most skilled fighters are in that lightweight division. And Michael Chandler, he's getting thrown against all of them. Okay, Paddy Pimblett, he's coming off a loss to him. I think he's on a 3-fight losing streak. Paddy Pimblett, Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier, and then before that was the Ferguson win. But he's coming off losses to good ass guys. Okay, Pimblett, obviously, like I said, he's an elite level lightweight. Charles, that loss is aging even better every day. Charles just went back in there against Max, dominated, and went up there against fucking Mateus Gamrot and dominated. Okay, Michael Chandler still got it. He just gets thrown into the fucking worst fights. Okay, he's getting thrown against Mauricio Rufy at the White House. Stop, bro. Just give Michael Chandler a few cans, man. Come on, bro. I need to see a fucking Michael Chandler finish. All right, I need him to get back on the mic after the White House win. And Conor McGregor, if you win, you got to come back and fight somebody. I just beat your knockoff. No, but for real, if he does get a win over Mauricio Rufy at the White House, absolute cinema. Calls out Conor McGregor, says some shit like, I don't know, like, if you win next month, you gotta come back and fight somebody. He's always trying to peer pressure old Conor McGregor into fighting him. I would say if I had to move old Michael Chandler, I'd probably switch him with like Drew Dober. Because I feel like he is a little high here. Okay, don't judge me too bad on that one. All right, but on to the number 5 spot. Who do we got at the number 5 spot? Another one. I'm gonna have to hold my shield a little bit fucking high here. Or wait, no. That's number 4. Sorry, number 5. I remember who we got. We got Big Robert Whittaker. Okay, not doing too bad recently. Okay, he's coming off 2 losses against some very high level middleweights. Okay, Hamzat Chimaev, he got submitted pretty badly, dislocated his fucking, messed up his whole fucking mouth pretty much. And then he's coming off a loss against RDR. Okay, that's a little bit, I don't like that one. Okay, for Robert Whittaker, especially him being at the number 5 spot. He's a little bit higher up on the list. I don't like that for him. RDR, he just went on after that to lose against Brendan Allen and against fucking Caio Baraujo. Okay, not saying that those are bad losses for RDR, but doesn't really look good for Robert Whittaker in that. But before that, he's coming off a fucking win, a first round KO, and then you got the Costa win, lost against Dricus du Plessis, which isn't a bad loss either. Okay, we thought Dricus du Plessis was about to go out there and fucking knock out Hamza. Okay, we thought that. We were commenting Dricus du Plessis by falling piano. Okay, don't act like you weren't. So not a bad loss as well. A win over Vittori. That's like pretty much the last 3 years of his fight record. Not too bad overall. I think he can go back in there. He's fighting on International Fight Week at the UFC 329 card. Moving up to light heavyweight. Okay, moving up to light heavyweight. So I think he might do a little bit better there. Against, who's he fighting? Krylov or whatever. I think he gets it done. Okay, I think we're gonna see the fucking return of Robert Whittaker. Okay, I think he's only 35 right now, so he's still got a little bit more time than some of the other guys on this list. So yeah, bro, fucking give me Robert Whitaker at number 5, bro. I believe in Robert Whitaker, okay? We need to stop seeing these fucking New Zealand unks falling off, okay? We got Izzy and now we got fucking Robert Whitaker. I can't have both at the same time, okay? One of you guys gotta fall off. Robert Whitaker, you fucking hold that shit down. While Izzy gets knocked out for the fucking 6th time in a row, okay? On to the number 4 spot, though. Who do we got? This is the one that I'm gonna have to defend, okay? Hear me out. We got Jan Blachowicz, all right? We got big Jan Blachowicz on a 3-fight losing streak. Well, it's technically a 5, okay? He's had 2 draws in his past, let me think, 4 fights. He's coming off a fucking loss against, or a draw against, Guskov. He's coming off a loss against Carlos Alberg, aged phenomenally, okay? Aged phenomenally. Coming off a loss against Pereira, also aged phenomenally. And coming off a draw against Ankalaev, okay? Which also aged phenomenally, okay? All those guys are fucking elite right now, or triple champion Alex Pereira. Fucking Alberg went on to win the title. And then fucking Ankalaev in the number 1 contender, who ended up giving Alex Pereira a loss, okay? So we cannot count on Jan Blachowicz yet, okay? I'm not ready for it, first of all. And second of all, he still got it, bro. Again, another situation, kind of like Michael Chandler. You can't count him out just because he's not getting cans like some of these other unks, okay? Some of these other unks, people are like, oh shit, dude, he's 39, he still got it. Oh my god, dude, he's 39 and he's still knocking people out. Yeah, because he's fighting guys you've never heard of, okay? These boys are going against the top dogs, okay? Which is why I think they still got it in them. Um, I think we do see a Jan Blachowicz win here soon. I don't think he's scheduled to fight right now. When was he scheduled to fight? He was scheduled to fight somebody. I fucking forget. I think on the last pay-per-view card. I don't know if it got rescheduled. I'd have to check. But either way, whoever they put Jan Blachowicz with next, okay, as long as we're not giving him a fucking straight demon again, I think we see a fucking Jan Blachowicz classic crafty vet KO, okay? So give me Jan Blachowicz at the number 4 spot. Moving on to the number 3, okay? This is where we get into the fucking top tier unks, okay? The upper echelon of unks, if you want to say that, okay? At the number 3 spot, we got a bit of a controversial unk, okay? Meaning some people would say he's unk, some people wouldn't say he's unk. I call him unk, bro. Before I got into the UFC, like watching it, I thought this guy was like coming up on 39 years of age, okay? Back in the day, even though he was only like 30 at the time. We got no other than the Blessed Express, Max Holloway, and at the number 3 spot. He's only like 34, 35, somewhere around there, I forget. But he obviously Max Holloway still got it in him. Okay, he's coming off a loss against Charles Oliveira. And notice how I didn't even put Charles Oliveira on this list, okay? Charles Oliveira is still in his prime, okay? I'm not just saying that because Charles Oliveira is my favorite fighter. I'm saying that because he truly is in his prime, okay? He beat Mateus Gamrot and then fucking went out there and dominated Max Holloway, okay? That's not a bad loss. Besides that, Max Holloway, he's obviously coming off the big Dustin Poirier win. Um, Made Dustin Poirier look like a bit of an unk. Made it look like Dustin Poirier needed to retire. Okay, I know that's what a lot of us were thinking. I was kind of in the back of my head, as big as a fan of Dustin Poirier as I am. I was like, shit, bro. Max just made this guy look like he needs to retire tonight. You know, even though he obviously was. Um, it kind of confirmed that. I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, retire, Dustin. Besides that, lost to Ilya Taporia. Max Holloway did. Um, and then coming off that huge win against Justin Gaethje. But before that, really, he's just straight beating the shit out of people. Okay. So in your last like what since 2023, he's lost to Charles Oliveira and Ilya. Not bad at all. Okay, going against the top of the top. Um, Max Holloway, obviously, I still think we see a bunch of Max Holloway fights. Probably around, if I had to throw out a number out there, we'll probably see Max Holloway a good 5, 6 more times, unless he just does the fucking Tony Ferguson classic and fights until he pretty much has to retire. I could see Max Holloway doing that too. I hope he's a little bit smarter than Tony Ferguson in that aspect. because I cannot see the great fall off of Max Holloway. Okay, I cannot go through that shit. Um, do I think he gets it done against Conor McGregor? I don't want to say yes, bro. I don't want to. I'm coping hard. I'm fucking cope maxing over here. I don't want to say Max Holloway's gonna beat Conor McGregor. Okay, so we're gonna skip that question. On to the next though. We've got number 2. Um, a little, not really a tricky one. To explain, we've got the highlight Justin Gaethje. Okay, coming off a fucking phenomenal win. I don't care what you say. You could quote Max about the eye pokes in the Paddy Pimblett fight, but either way, Justin Gaethje coming off a phenomenal win against one of the most hyped up prospects of the UFC, okay? That we've maybe ever seen, one of the most hyped up. Um, Paddy Pimblett coming in a big, huge favorite. Think I think he was a fairly good favorite. Um, Gaethje goes out there and fucking styles on it. Gives him that unk ass whipping, okay? Beats him up like he's somebody's drunk uncle. Like he's Patty's drunk uncle at the fucking family reunion, okay? Beautiful shit there. Coming off a good win against Rafael Fiziev. Um, Obviously coming off a devastating win against Holloway, like we just said. Coming off a Poirier win, a Fiziev win, an Oliveira loss. Okay, not bad at all. Since 2022, we're only looking at a loss from Charles Oliveira, and a loss from Max Holloway. Not bad at all. Okay, like I said, those two guys are still top tier, elite of the elite fighters, super dangerous. And Justin Gaethje, bro, he's still out there doing it. He's fighting at the White House. Okay, we got another White House fighter. Um, am I scared? Yes. Do I want to even fucking turn on that main event? No. I'm not ready for it. Okay. I'm not gonna give my prediction, but I think you can tell by the shakiness in my voice. I'm a little bit scared for my boy Justin. Okay. With that being said, though, we have finally made it to that number 1. The king of the unks, in my opinion, still out there fucking whipping these young bucks. I think you guys know who it is. It's the man from the land down under, Alexander Volkanovski, okay? Clearly, in my opinion, you clearly have to give the number 1 spot of the current unks to Alexander Volkanovski. He in the UFC, the whole time in the UFC, the whole career of him in the UFC, he has lost to 2 men, okay? And those 2 men are considered the greatest fighters as of right now, okay? Not the greatest fighters of all time. I'm saying the greatest fighters currently in the UFC. Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev. Some might even say he beat Islam Makhachev in the first fight. I would say it's close, okay? Maybe a draw. But I did like fucking Alexander Volkanovski in the scoring for that fight. Not crazy to say that he won the first fight. Obviously, he lost the first or the last fight against Islam Makhachev. Okay, gets head kick KO'd, absolutely devastating. But then he makes like a short turnaround or a fairly short turnaround. Um, and fucking goes against Ilia Topuria. Okay, what was the date there? October to February. Okay, what's that? October, November, December, January, February. 4 months. Okay, he gets head kick KO, comes back in 4 months, and then gets KO'd again. I'm not surprised. Okay, definitely might be coat maxing here. Okay, might be coat maxing again, but I think that's totally reasonable. I feel like a lot of people, even the best of the best, could go against one of the best, get knocked out, and if they make a quick turnaround, they're probably gonna get knocked out again. Okay, so I think Alexander Volkanovski obviously comes back after that, puts on a fucking masterclass against Diego Lopez, um, twice. The first fight was obviously a bit closer, but I think he clearly won it. Um, Unk still fucking got it. Okay, he's doing his thing, cooking with Volk. All right, and he's still getting that work in, still whooping up on these young bucks. Okay, so give me number 1, Alexander Volkanovski. All right, that is my top 10 list for the current UFC unks. I think this is a pretty fucking solid list. We've got a few guys that are still up there. We got like Justin Gaethje. Obviously he's getting a title shot. We've got Alexander Volkanovski, who's still the champ. Okay, I think that's one of the main reasons also that you got to give Alexander Volkanovski the number 1 spot. and a lot of guys that just still got potential. Okay, not potential. I'm not saying potential to be the champ or go on a fucking title reign or a title run, but they still got a few good wins left in them, I think. Okay, um, but like I said, that's gonna be my top 10 list. If you made it to the end of the video, which there's a very small chance that anybody made it to the end of the video, but if you did, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, and comment and let me know what you think of the top 10 list. I'm out. Peace.